So I do not know what's going on in ATV. I just don't have the bandwidth. So, wish them luck.
Hello everybody, welcome back to The Body Serve. I'm Jonathan.
I'm James.
This is episode 391, headlined by Canada's very own Victoria Mboko, who is a Masters 1000 champion in Montreal.
The third Canadian winner in the Open era.
It's crazy for us to think that we were just watching her on an outer court at Wimbledon as a lucky loser, only there because she was a lucky loser, winning a match, and now a couple weeks later she's had this monumental breakthrough in a season of many other breakthroughs, starting the year well outside the top 300, and now she's going to be ranked number 24 in the world.
Yep, both she and her final opponent, Naomi Osaka, are going to be seeded at a slam. Vicky for her first time, and Naomi for her first time since returning from maternity leave. This has happened on the WTA. It's not common, but it has happened where a player similar to Bianca, comes up, has this amazing year, and wins her first WTA title at the 1000 level.
If you may be wondering, well, why is this happening repeatedly? Now it's repeated in Canada. Well, there's one common denominator, and that's Natalie Tozia.
Oh, right. I asked the group chat the other day, what can you tell me about Natalie Tozia? Because this was before my time.
You asked me.
I was alive, when she was playing. Yes.
I am the group chat.
No, I asked the group chat.
Oh, but I must not have been part of that group chat because you asked me as well.
So?
Well, Tozia has been working for Canadian Tennis, the Canadian Tennis Federation, for years now, and she's been a coach of Bianca Andreescu before. She's been Mboko's coach since I think earlier this year or something to that effect. I mean, it's not like Mboko has been around for a long time. Mm-hmm. It's a recent partnership. Former French player. I know her from being a WTA fan in the 90s, specifically the 1998 Wimbledon final where Yana Novotná beat her in straight sets. She's a former top 4 tennis player in her own right, but you haven't really seen or heard much from her since her retirement. She's been coaching behind the scenes, as it turns out. On her way to the title, Mboko beat 4 slam champions. The run to the title included gospel great Kim Burrell, Kenin, Boskova, Coco Gauff in straight sets. A blistering win there. Bozos Monero, Rybakina in the semis, and then a resurgent Naomi Osaka in the final. Resurgent until the second set of that final. Mm-hmm. She's 53-9 on the year across all levels. She's played a lot of tennis. That includes 5 straight ITF titles, and as you said, now her first WTA title.
This is where I normally tell people to hold their horses, right? Not expect too much too soon. This happened way quicker than I expected it to. Early in the match against Osaka, I was thinking, okay, this is it. This was a Cinderella run, but Naomi has her handled. And that's really what it looked like in the first set. You sort of alluded to something happening to Naomi mentally where she just seemed to kind of check out in the second set of that match. Toward the end of the match, she's well down in the third set. And it's a point that you've seen replayed many, many times now, where Vicky scrambles to the net and manages to kind of do this split and get a drop shot past Naomi. Naomi walked up to the net to volley that and did not even deign to move for the ball. Like, she was so checked out mentally.
I watched that point so many times. There's no guarantee she could have even gotten to that ball to be able to put it back in play. The point is she didn't attempt. And so the tanking allegations, I don't buy them. She was bossing that rally. People point to that specific instance as evidence of her tanking the end of that match. but she was well and truly controlling that point. It just felt like one more instance where Victoria got one ball back too many that caused her frustration to snowball.
Mm-hmm. No, I didn't say she was tanking. I'm not people.
Okay, she lost her blob, is what she did. Like, she was discombobulated in that match. For whatever reason, I don't know if it's because she hasn't been in that position in years at this point. If she felt that with a fast start was just the way it was gonna go. I don't know if she wasn't paying attention to Victoria's previous matches in this tournament where she'd lost first sets and similarly frustrated her opponents. Like, this is something that she should have expected. Mm-hmm. But somewhere between the second and the third set, like, she just lost all sense of where she was, it seemed.
Yeah. And I mean, we have seen this from Naomi since her return, and even before, this sort of fragility that, you know, wasn't there during her slam runs, obviously. Like, she can be such a fearsome competitor, but the pressure of playing this younger opponent who, you know, that was me at one point, of feeling like there was a lot of pressure on her to win this match because of this incredible week she's had since dumping Patrick. She's a 4-time slam champion. She's also up against a crowd that is really difficult to play against.
That's probably the most challenging part for her, given her personality and how she does seem to be a very sensitive person.
Yeah, like she really internalizes things.
She definitely the type of person to absorb that kind of energy in a negative way. And you just take it for granted that somebody who's been on tour for so long, who's had that much success, should be able to rise above it. But when else would she have been in that kind of situation? 2018?
Are you alluding to something specific?
No, I'm just saying how many times in her career would that have happened?
Right.
When you get to be a person of Naomi's stature, you take for granted that you will be the one that everybody's rooting for. Mm-hmm. And even if they're not, it's not to the extent where, well, damn, like, I'm a 4-time slam champion. I'm Naomi Osaka. What's going on here? You know, how many times could she reasonably expect to be in that position outside of this Cinderella run on home soil?
Right. Speaking of Mboko, by the way, that's how she says her last name on the WTA site, so that's how we will say it. I've heard many different pronunciations, but Vicky says Mboko. Not many Canadians, historically, have been able to carry this hometown pressure. And to be fair, it's not like for a lot of the existence of the Canadian Open, there has been a favorite from the home country. But players like Jeannie and Dennis and Felix, Milos even, weren't really able to sort of connect here.
Right, but it's been over 10 years now that they've had a reasonable, viable home favorite that could win this tournament.
Well, okay, fair enough. Bianca was a surprise, I guess, especially against Serena. Serena got injured earlier in that match.
No, it's not a fine. It's a fact. Milos had come of age by the time we started in 2015. And there have been men and women over the last 10 years who could win this tournament.
Oh, I thought you meant it's been 10 years since there's been a legit...
I'm saying It's been at least a decade where there have been Canadian tennis players who reasonably could be expected to do well, go far, win this tournament, and say for Bianca, nobody's done it. Nobody's even sniffed it. It's been a decade of futility. And so it takes possibly somebody like a Bianca, somebody like a Victoria to come out of nowhere, seemingly, to be young enough and without the weight of expectation enough to be able to do this.
Right.
I don't know why playing on Canadian home soil is that big of a bugaboo for people. Like, that's...
You mean it's not like playing at the French Open?
Right,
that
like
kind of, yeah.
Playing at the Rexall Center or Sobe Stadium.
Not the Rexall Center.
I don't know, maybe by the time you spend 6 hours in traffic to get to site, you're just beat.
Right. Or the Pharmaprix Stadium. I don't even remember what the Montreal one is called. I think at one point it was Pharmaprix.
I don't anymore.
That's like their, you know, CBS.
What's different for me about Mboko is that her game is so compact that you don't get the sense that there's a whole lot of room for her to fly off the handles and go AWOL. Like, say, a Madison Keys might in her career, or some of the other big power hitters. She hits with power, but she has short, compact swings, and she seems to put pressure on her opponents in measured ways. She's able to keep the ball in court, hit hard, hit deep, but with margin, and also able to rely on her athleticism and her speed. It was a deadly combination in Montreal this week. Like you said, our way of addressing this rise is to caution against overhype. It's difficult to follow up. Bianca did it, and then she had injuries. Injury is a huge X factor throughout the course of any professional athlete, let alone a tennis player. Exhaustion, burnout, mental stress, emotional distress. There's so many things that come into play. She's already played 60-something plus matches this year.
And just a lack of experience at this level, right? The expectations now as a top 30 player are going to be worlds apart from being the number 200 or the number 100.
She's going to be a known entity for the next year with a ranking to match. And so she'll show up to these tournaments and be asked different questions, have a different spotlight on her. Should she manage to win something big again in the next 12 months, it's only going to snowball and get worse or better. Whichever way.
I was worried about the wrist injury, and early on in that final, it seemed like she was sort of rubbing it a little and like, oh God. And I was thinking maybe she shouldn't have played. She fell late in the semifinal versus Rybakina, and she sort of braced herself with her hands and hurt her wrist. She said she woke up with it swollen, got an MRI, was cleared to play. It wasn't a huge deal. And obviously she made it through the match. I'm really heartened to see that she pulled out of Cincinnati in spite of getting the performance bye, which we'll get to in a moment. I think that, I don't know if that shows, she has smart people on her team, or she was simply just exhausted and knew it was the best option, but somebody's looking out for her.
The bank account said it wasn't necessary after
Right.
this tournament.
She's like, I have a seat at the US Open? Yeah, okay.
Quite literally a life-changing result this week for Mboko. I mentioned earlier that Victoria is coached by Natalie Tozia, and there was the callback to Yana for me, and also a specific instance where I remember watching that final, and as a huge, I can't even explain how huge a fan of Yana I was, being so anxious and wanting this so badly for her in 1998. And then at the time, it must have been Wimbledon coverage on HBO, because I recall Bryant Gumbel being the host and Martina Navratilova being in studio and saying something to the effect of, well, if she can't win this one, she should retire. And I just thought it was just so incredibly cruel, even as a 14-year-old. Not even 14-year-old at the time. Not just to Yana, but to Natalie as well.
Right.
Like, this is a Wimbledon finalist. And you're saying that if you can't beat Natalie Tozia, who is a top 20 player, then you should just retire. Like, that's crazy work. And, it turned out that mean-spiritedness, that dark-sidedness, has carried through to today. Like, it was an early precursor for me.
And now I find out the Real Housewives of Miami fans can't stand her either. I have never seen the show personally, so I don't know what they're seeing.
As much as there was elation and excitement for Victoria's win, there was almost an equal amount of disdain cast toward Naomi after this match. And it had to do with Naomi's acceptance speech of the runner-up trophy, a very brief one, and the fact that Naomi did not congratulate or even acknowledge Victoria in that brief speech, nor did she go on to do a press conference afterward. And people were hot. There were a lot of takes, and it's almost as if folks wanted to recreate the memory of 2018. I don't know why folks were so invested in that, but it's like...
I do.
There's a lot of symmetry involved with the one player involved being Naomi, her being potentially seen as being on the other end of that 7 years ago. I can't believe it's been 7 years. Stupidly, I thought, because I didn't watch the match live because I was working that day, And it was playing out as I was driving home. And I was thinking about it, and I said, well, this is a win-win situation. Like, how could this possibly go bad? Victoria wins. Canada has this Cinderella story. Victoria is this Cinderella story for everybody in tennis. Amazing. The lineage continues from Althea right down through the Williams sisters onward. We have more black excellence in tennis. Somebody to look forward to for the next decade plus, that it's being done against Naomi Osaka, who herself is having this resurgent moment. Two feel-good stories. How could it be a bad thing if either woman won? If Naomi won, it would have been the first tournament since she cast that leech Patrick aside and come with a serious coach who immediately helps her turn the Titanic back around, playing tennis like the Naomi that we remember, that we wondered if we'd ever see again. Her winning a Masters 1000 would have been a great story for tennis. Even if she lost, the fact that she had that press conference moment the day before where she was caught off guard, hearing that Victoria adored her, that she was her favorite player, that she was somebody that she looked up to. She could be happy for the success that she had, and then also be super happy for Victoria as well. I could not see a way for this to turn sour. I really couldn't. I thought we were in a safe zone. And clearly, that did not happen.
In many ways, Naomi has been the story coming from this final, which is too bad. And I'm not doing this discourse again. Like, I'm simply not. We've done it enough. Sorry to disappoint. Like, I'm not adding to this shit. What I will say, and we have said before, is that in 2018 at the US Open, people thought they had found their perfect victim in Naomi. People who wanted to make a point about who they felt Serena was and had always been. And they found this poor, innocent black woman who was victimized by the big bad, right? And you could criticize Serena because you couldn't be racist if you were defending another black woman in Naomi. Like, that was some of the stuff that was going on in the subtext. Since then, Naomi has presented herself as a much more complicated, fully lived-in human person than a lot of people wanted her to be, right? She was an activist. She still is an activist. She wore the Black Lives Matter masks. Like, she's been vocal about that. She's been vocal about her mental health. I haven't always seen it for Naomi, if we're being totally honest. But she is human.
What does that mean? You haven't always seen it for Naomi.
Like, what does the colloquialism mean?
Yes.
Yeah, it just means, like, I haven't always been riding with her on everything.
Your major objection to her has been the Nick stuff.
So lately, I really haven't been supporting Naomi because of her support of Nick Kyrgios. Like, I haven't been rooting for her.
Not just supportive, but platforming.
Yes. Repeatedly. And then him being in her box and everything. I found it very hypocritical, the way she's carried on. So going into this tournament, I was like, yeah, that's cute, but I'd much rather have Vicky win this. And then, like, I'm so contrary that some of you people are really pissing me off that I'm now feeling it for Naomi again. Because, listen, she crashed out. She was not there.
You're going to have to explain that again.
Oh my God. I'm not explaining this is the English language.
Okay.
Keep up.
We are in the middle. We have a lot of older listeners as well that don't watch Love Island. Look, I only recently learned what crash out was because of Love Island. Because of, who was the big crash out this season? Huda. Yeah. And now everybody's talking about crash out this, crash out that. It has a very specific meaning.
Okay. Naomi lost her mind at some point in this match. When she managed to get up and accept her plate, or whatever, she was not there. She was trying to get through that speech as quickly as possible. She did not congratulate Vicky. She thanked the ball kids and the volunteers and all that stuff, and she got right up out of there. Was it the best version of Naomi Osaka? Certainly not. Did she ruin Mboko's moment? Certainly not. See, that's the thing that I object to. She didn't take anything from Vicky, right? You don't like how she behaved in that moment. That's fine. But she didn't take anything from her opponent. She didn't give her anything either. Right?
She walked across the net and shook her hand.
Mm-hmm.
Naomi famously doesn't hug people.
Right.
It's not her thing. She went right over, shook her hand, congratulated her. I assume something. She shook her hand. That in and of itself is an acknowledgement of something. It's the bare minimum, but it's not like she, did a walk by. Mm-hmm. When I first watched that acceptance of the runner-up speech, I didn't read it like how so many were reading it, that it was so disrespectful. This was not Arina Sabalenka with Coco Gauff. That's not what this was.
Because again, let me get another 1-star review from this. That was a commission, not an omission.
She just wanted to get out of there. Was it immature? Probably. I don't know.
Right. I don't know.
Ultimately, it wasn't as big as people made it out to be, in my opinion. It just felt like somebody who was really overwhelmed by the last set and a half, the end of it, the whole thing, needed to get out of there. Now, whether you want to criticize her for not being able to deal with that situation at her big age, that's fair.
Sure.
She's been in those moments before. How can you not be able to catch yourself and steady yourself emotionally to just get through it? That's a fair critique in my opinion. Do I think she had any ill will? Here we get to that thing of intention. We often say intention doesn't matter. But not only do I think she didn't have an ill intention toward Victoria, I don't think she actually did anything to her either.
Right. And I also think context matters if you're going to say, well, you were really rough on Sabalenka. And we were. And if I went back and recorded again, maybe I would have done it differently. But context is a big factor here. Naomi's not someone who's known to be unkind to her competitors or to sort of run off at the mouth. She's more likely to say less or say nothing,
which is
or
what she
avoid
did.
the press altogether. Right? She's an avoidant personality.
Oh, I would say the exact same things I said about Sabalenka. It was mean-spirited, is what it was.
It was, yeah.
It was dismissive and mean-spirited. Period. She apologized. We're all moving on. But that's what that was. This is not what that was, in my opinion. And also, if your opinion is different and want to be loud about it, go start a podcast.
Oh.
Rather than give a 1-star review.
Yeah, you know what? The thing that most pissed me off about this whole thing is that now people have me wanting to ride for Naomi again. And I was really, I had gotten off the bus. I had pulled the little rope and the bell dinged and I was off the Naomi Osaka bus. But now you are threatening to pull me back on it because now I'm pissed off.
Okay, you're being narrow-sighted here. Short-sighted.
Because
it's not just that.
That's not possible.
It's not just that. You hadn't seen Naomi be Naomi on a tennis court in a very long time. And this was the first time that we'd really seen it in a prolonged stretch. She's still a captivating tennis player to watch, regardless of what you feel about her. So if Naomi goes on a non-problematic sweep through the Australian Open of the hard courts, where do you think you're going to end up being? Unless,
really?
Unless...
With Nick Kyrgios in her box? When she dumped Patrick, I was laughing to myself thinking she'd probably hire Nick as her coach. That's where we were. A mere... 12 days ago? That's where I was.
All I'm saying, as people who rode for Naomi hard for a long time, that doesn't just go away, necessarily.
Sure, but you can get tired.
You can get tired.
In a way that I got tired of Bianca.
Yes.
I was never that huge.
What I'm saying is, what's different about this week, which also helps you want to go the contrarian route for her, is that she's playing like Naomi again. I think that is a factor.
Okay,
That's all I'm saying. I also want to say a little bit here about Patrick. Because this man has been riding coattails for years. This is a public figure. This is an entrepreneur. This is a business owner. The Patrick Academy is a business. He's the face of it. He's a loudmouth. He has everything to say about everything. Is he still a good coach? Was he ever really a great coach? Those are questions that become even more pertinent after Naomi's run this week.
Mm-hmm. On Drag Race, there's this war between the social media dolls and the performance dolls. You know, the girls who are out here in the club performing know what they're doing. Patrick is a social media girly, okay? He's an Instagram coach.
Vitkarowski is a performance girl.
Right. Okay, let's talk about performance buys, because on the most recent episode of this podcast, I implied that performance buys were a thing of the past. All of a sudden, everybody's talking about it, like we were just supposed to know. At the end of 2023, there was a bunch of controversy because the WTA was trialing performance buys again. It had been a while, really, since they had used them. Rybakina was pissed off because she initially didn't receive one, and then she withdrew from, I think it was the Pan Pacific Open, and claimed that the WTA had changed the rules out of nowhere. Other players said, no girl, you didn't read the fact sheet. Anyway, we had known that they were trialing performance buys in 23 and 24, and I've read the rule book in all of those years, including this year, and it's still not clear. It's still unclear that performance buys are officially part of the rules. What it means is that these are first-round buys that can be used in cases where a player reaches the final in the previous week's tournament. In this case, Naomi and Victoria reached the final in Montreal. There was actual overlap in Montreal and Cincinnati, which there really never is, and they were both given first-round buys. So that means, these were not seeded players. They were not going to get a bye normally, but they were given one. And math is not my strong suit. So now I'm like, well, what does that mean? What does that mean for the rest of the draw? And so what it means is that you're taking qualifier or lucky loser spots, right, in that second round. Since both Naomi and Victoria withdrew and are not going to use their performance buy, now we've got two new first-round matches that never existed, and they're both made up of lucky loser versus lucky loser. And those matches were played last night, Friday night.
So I believe in Cincinnati, those matches would have been Buksha against Yuan Yue.
Yep.
And then the other one against Iva Jovic and Solana Sierra.
Right. So in this case, a lucky loser didn't get to just snatch that second round spot that would have been a bye. They actually created two first round matches that did not exist.
There's probably more to come on this as you do your investigations. Yeah. So you can get to the bottom of it. Mm-hmm. Because for a while there, it looked like you had misspoken.
Well, I suppose I did. Because I had assumed we weren't really doing performance buys anymore. But it seems like if it's an option for these tournaments, this is the week where you use it because these two big-time tournaments are overlapping.
Coco had a rough week in Montreal, it's fair to say. All of a sudden, the serious double fault issue came rearing its ugly head again, to the tune of hitting 23 double faults in her 3-hour 3-set win over Danielle Collins. Mm-hmm. That's a lot of double faults. That's almost a full set's worth of points if you were to do a magical golden set. What is it called?
Yeah, that's correct. It's just one shy of a full set.
And one of them in her time in Montreal was one of the worst faults you'll ever see in your life. Like, you'd be hard pressed to hit one yourself like that.
Oh, I'm sure I could, but most people.
Did you see it?
I did.
Okay.
It was quite not good. However,
she won the doubles.
Right. Won 5 matches in doubles. Coco has not won a singles match since winning Roland Garros, by the way.
Well, how many tournaments has she played? She played Wimbledon. She played one warm-up to Wimbledon.
Yeah, she played Berlin, Wimbledon, Montreal, and now we're in Cincinnati. She'll be playing Wong. But still, not a great run. She didn't play DC either. And I think she said somewhere that she regrets maybe not playing DC. She's a former champion there as well.
It's fine. I've learned to not be bothered by these stretches.
Oh, yeah. From Coco especially.
Yes. No, I mean...
Oh,
I'm talking about Coco, period.
Oh, okay.
The Toronto portion of this National Bank Open 2-city extravaganza was won by Ben Shelton. He beat Karen Khachanov in 3 sets. At some point during that final, because the men's final started later in Toronto than the women's did in Montreal, the crowd went nuts. And Ben was left standing there behind the baseline, mouthing even, what the hell is going on? Just right. Apropos of nothing, this Toronto crowd starts cheering. Well, if it wasn't a moment where women's tennis overshadowed men's tennis, these are the things that we live for.
It's because Vicky won the match at that exact moment in Montreal. If I know the ATP, this is the last time they're going to schedule a men's and women's final at the same time.
Toronto was a mess. It was a mess. It was a slog. Did not enjoy it one bit.
I mean, maybe Montreal was too, but we weren't there.
Right.
Well, to be fair, I wasn't here either.
Do I miss work to go and watch a quarterfinal lineup that's one doubles match and two singles matches, and that's it? Like, this tournament was sleepy for the second half of it. Completely unnecessarily so, other than to get your money.
It's going to suffer in a way that Cincinnati won't, because the men and women are in different cities. So in Toronto, you've elongated the schedule. You have pretty much the entire second week, there's no day session at all. First of all, there shouldn't be a second week in a Masters 1000 tournament. On the Monday, which was a civic holiday here in Canada, a lot of people have the day off. The site would have been absolutely packed to the gills. There's no tennis during the day. It's an absolute waste.
It wasn't even a second week. It was a second half week.
Right.
Because the tournament ended on Thursday.
Right. How exciting. A Thursday night final. Amidst a second half week that was pretty dreary and ho-hum because there just wasn't enough tennis happening on site. So you really got to see, looking at the order of play every day, how devalued these tickets are. Right? I'm sure the ownership of these tournaments are making a lot more money. They're selling more sessions. That's what we keep hearing. But it sounds like pretty much everybody else hates it, including the players. But we know that that doesn't actually matter as long as the tournament owners are making money. And this is what belies the whole structure of the WTA and ATP being purportedly fair between players and tournaments, right? That they have an equal place at the table. They don't.
How do you make Canada better under this setup? The only option is to alternate who goes first each year. That's the only way to even remotely fix this, because not only does the Canadian leg suffer from not having both the men and the women on the same site, it also comes first in the schedule. A more cramped schedule where Canada happens closer to Wimbledon than it ever has before. And so we saw so many withdrawals, especially on the men's side. Maybe it's to do with the men playing best of 5 at Wimbledon and needing more time off. We didn't see near as many withdrawals on the women's side.
No.
But if you're going to have those two big issues to face every year, it's almost insurmountable.
Yeah, so this would have been a problem regardless. Making the tournament longer is already going to hurt the quality of the day-to-day event, the entertainment value. But it got even worse because Carlos and Yannick and Novak and a number of other players just did not bother coming.
And then Cincinnati shows up with all of its improvements.
Ooh.
It was already a better location because it's bigger. The facilities are bigger and better.
And now apparently they're even better than they used to. It's amazing what you can do with taxpayer money. I say it all the time. And you know what you can do? You can get a doubles wildcard for your other daughter.
Oh.
You know there's another Navarro.
I did not. There's another one?
Yeah. And she's playing doubles with her sister.
Did Emilio Nava get wildcards because people just assumed he was part of that family?
And then all these, I saw someone tweeting about it. Or I'm sorry, let me be clear.
Skeeting.
It could have been on TikTok. I don't know. I just don't want to be accused of still being on Twitter.
Well, that's another case you caught.
Right.
You went on another podcast and said tweeting.
Somebody was talking about the other Navarro wildcard, and talk about deja vu. I know we've lived this before. And people in the comments were like, well, isn't that the least they could do for all these amazing improvements that Ben Navarro made? I know there's got to be a wild card for someone in Clark County, Ohio, because they also paid. Under the threat of exodus. Do you remember
Charlotte,
that?
North Carolina.
Yeah. So where's the wild card for, Karen from payroll, who lives in Mason, Ohio, who also paid for those improvements.
People will always go to bat for the billionaire.
Yes.
The aspirational
Like, damn.
nature of things. It's crazy. Ben Shelton, he won this tournament. The biggest win of his career. The courts in Toronto were apparently really fast. A lot of players throughout the course of the 10, 11 days complained to high heaven about the conditions.
Oh my god. No one is ever happy. I saw some data recently about the speed of courts, and it seems like the kind of the sky is falling nature of, oh, all the courts are slowing dramatically is not actually true. However, the ball quality continues to be an issue.
Yeah.
So the courts are actually fast, but
And they're playing with different balls now ahead of the US Open, coming off of a different surface. You know, they're getting used to new things. And, you know, tennis players aren't always the most adept at non-comfortable situations.
right.
Such as getting to and from the site.
This was so funny. I feel like this is the only tournament in which we have any expertise as far as, oh, my match was scheduled too early, oh, the traffic is so bad. Yeah, the traffic is bad in Toronto. Everyone knows that. It's also bad in other cities around the world. The issue here is that, okay, so Taylor Fritz was one of the people saying, I'm sleeping during transport, you know, it's so far away from the tournament. Alejandro Davidovich Fokina, of course, made that whole Instagram story about how dare you schedule me at 11 a.m.
It's not fair. Supervisor.
I'm the only one who got scheduled at 11, which is a perfectly normal time to be scheduled
True.
in any tournament.
True, but that specific day, he was the only match scheduled at 11.
Mm-hmm.
All the other matches, all other two matches,
Right, because they have nothing else going on,
Right.
you know?
were scheduled at 12:30. So he took offense that, how dare you put me on at 11 when I have to get up that much earlier to get to site. It takes an hour to get myself ready to be able to play this match when nobody else has to do it. What Alejandro is not telling you is that the players have a choice of two hotels. There are two-player hotels, one downtown, very nice, very cutesy. You get to be near the water. You get to be near the Michelin star restaurants. You get to see the sights, see the buildings, all that stuff, get the Toronto feel. Or you could stay in Markham and have some of the best Chinese food of your life, which is much closer to the site. And damn near, I don't know what the exact number is, but from my asking behind the scenes over the years, the majority of the players stay downtown.
Of course they do. But I thought y'all were here to work.
Could you have said, well, I saw that you scheduled me tomorrow at 11. Maybe can you put me up in Markham for the night? And then I'll go back downtown the next day? Rather than go online. I guess he's feeling himself because he just had that really big moment, right?
Well, he's not. I mean, now he's retired for matches in the past two Masters events.
Yes. Anyway,
let me just say, if you stayed in Markham, you could just hop over to Highway 7 or the 407, which is a pay highway, but they can afford it. And
it's also going to be tournament transit. So
yes,
the tournament
they
will
got
pay
you. They got
for
you.
that $20.
It's not going to take a long time, like regardless of the time of day. Getting from downtown to the tippy top of North York, which is where York University is, where they play the tennis, that's a hike. In the best of times, it's going to take a little while. So you got to decide for yourself. That's what they're not telling you. They have the option. It's not like they're putting them up in an econo lodge in Markham. It's a nice hotel.
Also, as a lot of people have pointed out, well, Dan Evans pointed out, there's always
Workers
this thing.
of the world
there's
unite.
Yeah, there's always this thing with professional athletes, right? Just shut up and play, because we who support you have to work 9 to 5s, and how dare you be so out of touch? And I almost never adhere to that line of thinking.
Well, right.
Because they're not 9 to 5 people; they're athletes. They have different requirements to be who they are.
And we're paying them to entertain us, right?
Exactly.
It's different.
So if you want them to show up and give their best, they need optimal, conditions. I don't think this was one of them. Personally.
No, I just wish they would have told the whole truth this time.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Back to Ben. We've been
if I'm going to give you the full 100 here, Jonathan, for you, that means if I'm being honest. I know you need a lot of translation today.
We took a little bit of a break in between the women and the men, and he told me, I don't have to explain everything that I say on air.
There are context clues. Anyway, if I'm being honest, I was not engaged on the men's side of this tournament. I was pissed off, first of all, because tennis is round the clock, round the calendar, always on TSN here, and we subscribe to TSN. For just National Bank Open, it was on Sportsnet. I am not paying for Sportsnet. I'm so sorry, I'm just not doing it. So you could not find it. It's very difficult, and, DM me if you know, but to find alternative methods of watching tennis, it's not as easy as it used to be. Maybe it's just a skill issue. I'm sure it's a skill issue on my part, but it's not easy like it used to be. And I was already mad because I really actually did want to go. We had a holiday weekend. I wanted to go to tennis, maybe on Friday afternoon. Had a half day that day, maybe on Sunday or Monday. And every day I looked at the order of play and I'm like, why am I spending the people's money? Because this is money that people gave us to do this stuff. To go to this. No.
For me, while this tournament on the men's side was so boring, there was at least the vested interest of when that guy would lose. And he lost again in spectacular fashion in a long, drawn-out 3-set match. And it was great.
This time it was against Khachanov. Taylor Fritz is the player I expected to win this tournament. In the absence of the big guys, Fritz has been consistently reaching quarters and semis everywhere except clay. He's winning grass titles reliably. He's been the American who has been the closest, right, to becoming a slam winner, who's been by far the most consistent over the past few years. And yet, this is another example where he can't take that next step at the end of a tournament.
Well, I think he fell victim to the court speed and Ben Shelton's big game. Because that was a decisive win from Ben in that semifinal.
Taylor hasn't been in a Masters final since he won his first and only in Indian Wells in 2022.
When they tried to cook up that narrative with Netflix against Rafa.
Oh, Lord. Let's not relive that. And for Ben's part, this is his first Masters final, his first win, and puts him in an incredible position going into the U.S. Open. However, Carlos and Yannick will be there.
Yannick is back today, beating Galan 1-1.
Mm-hmm. And now he said he's just wearing the elbow sock thing because he likes it. He doesn't even need it. That's the kind of confidence he has at this moment.
Do you know who he plays next in Cincinnati?
I don't.
Diallo.
Oh.
Yeah. Do you know what else has been notable about this stretch of good results for Canadian tennis players?
Tell me.
I guess if you go all the way back to, what was it, Hopman Cup?
Mm-hmm.
Where Felix and Bianca won, I believe. Then the next week, Dennis won in Mexico. And then the next week, Layla won in DC. And then now Vicky has won in Canada.
Yeah, so that's 4 weeks in a row with different Canadians winning tournaments. And then if you skip back past Wimbledon, Gabriel Diallo won Sertogenbosch. It's been a pretty incredible stretch for Tennis Canada.
So many electronic line call issues in Toronto. This was the highlight for me, honestly. Yeah,
they both impacted Ben Shelton matches. One was the semifinal. This match was simply delayed. It was delayed by, I think, 20 minutes because electronic line calling wasn't working. So they sent them off.
And then it happened again in the final against Khachanov.
Yeah.
So much so that Ben is out here gifting first serves. Because the rules don't allow it, even though it makes sense. So Ben is giving a first serve. And then Fergus Murphy, who always seems to be in these situations, he's explaining to Ben after another instant that, I can't give a first serve here. Even though Ben is trying to advocate for Karen, right?
I mean, the serve was out by like 6 feet.
Yeah.
And Ben is still saying, no, just you take another first serve. Because now it's been so long.
And so Fergus is saying, I can't do it, but if you want, you can give him a first serve again. And Ben says something, well, I guess it's Christmas. You can have one. Which I actually found a bit endearing from
Right,
him.
because it was an absurd situation,
Yeah.
right? He'd already gifted him one for serve for the first one that was really far out. And then the second one, so why not? It's Christmas. The problem continues to be that with electronic line calling, it may be highly accurate and precise, but there's no plan B. And they've shown this multiple times, right? In this case, allegedly, the ELC was working correctly, but there was no audio. So you couldn't tell on the court if a ball was called out because there was no audio. And so this causes a big delay. Again, why is there no way to work around this issue?
Ben is up to a career high of number 6, and he's within shouting distance of Taylor Fritz for top-ranked American men. Fritz at number 4 with 55.25, and Shelton 1,205 points behind.
Oh, this is the official ranking, too.
Official ranking.
Oh, wow.
I love that bit where Coco was asked in press if there's any playful competition between the American women and American men with the results. And she's like, there is no competition.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Heretofore, there has been no competition.
There's been... She didn't even get the stat right. But there's been an American woman in a slam final for the last American Woman Slam. You know, like Serena Slam.
Oh, right.
Going back to the US Open last year with Jessica Pegula, then Madison Keys in Australia, Coco Gauff at the French Open, and then Amanda Anisimova at Wimbledon. It's just not the same. And I don't know why the women always have to be tasked with bringing these men along.
Well,
because
we know why.
guaranteed, if it were the flip, the men would not be asked those questions. They would not be taking every chance to bring the woman into the conversation.
No.
They would not be doing it. So,
Another ranking stat is that Mboko is now the highest ranked Canadian man or woman after this week.
that's probably one of the craziest stats for me. Not Dennis, not Felix, not Layla.
Not even Layla, who just won a tournament the week before. Did you know that Victoria and Bianca have the same middle name?
What is it, Gucci?
Do you know what it is? Oh, you don't know what it is?
I don't know.
Oh, that was my quiz question for you.
Well, I failed. What is it?
It's Vanessa.
Oh, okay. Venus was back in Cincinnati with her second wild card of her comeback, and she played Buzas Manero in the opening round, losing 6-4, 6-4. Not a bad result.
No, not a bad showing. Buzas was just in the round of 16 at Wimbledon and the quarterfinals in Montreal, currently at her highest career rank in the 40s, I believe. Venus's return in Cincinnati made very little noise because it was happening around the same time as both finals in Canada. Another victim of the overlap here.
We got news this week of some not so good stuff. In fact, he's already back in Cincinnati. Vukov has won an appeal to be able to return to tour. He's reinstated to be Rybakina's coach.
Yeah. Stefano Vukov had been Elena Rybakina's coach for a long time. Last year, the WTA provisionally suspended him while they were investigating a number of accusations of abusive behavior against her. They ended up banning him for 1 year. He appealed, and the appeal goes to private arbitration. Apparently that was heard just before Wimbledon this year, and the arbitrator overturned the ban. So he is now allowed to apply for a credential at any tournament. He can come back as Rybakina's primary coach. It's all over. Originally, the WTA issued I think it was like a 3-page summary of their report. They issued it to the public, and it was pretty strident. They said that he had engaged in, quote, abuse of authority and abuse of conduct against Rybakina. They said that he called her stupid and R-worded. Said that if it wasn't for him, she'd still be picking potatoes in Russia. I mean, everybody knows that you dig potatoes. Come on. You don't pick them.
Oh my God.
And then the WTA also said that it had come to their attention that it appeared that Elena and Stefano were engaged in a romantic relationship as well, which had been rumored for a long time, but nobody had ever really said it out loud.
With Vukov off the tour, the team hired Sanguinetti as a mule, essentially. Vukov's mule, to be the eyes and ears in public while he still puppeteered behind the scenes.
Yeah. Elena said publicly that Stefano is still coaching me outside of tournaments. He's basically part of the team. Davide is a proxy. That's all he was. Sanguinetti was a proxy for Vukov because he was actually allowed through the doors.
Of course, lots of people are, by default, blaming the WTA, which I don't know what more they could have done. Like, this was a private arbitration. This is not their jurisdiction.
Every policy has an appeals process. It has to.
They investigated the dude. They provisionally suspended him while they did that. Then they banned him. And now he's back.
Yeah. I mean, anything more that the WTA did would have risked them being sued. Mind you, the PTPA was highly critical of the WTA's actions here. They don't want the tour to be able to unilaterally decide anything, so I guess they should be happy at this result. And unfortunately, the player has been the biggest advocate for Vukov's return. It's hard to act when the player who was allegedly the victim of this abusive conduct is constantly defending him publicly.
Is not a minor.
No. The WTA did as much as they could and more than they've done in other situations.
Did you catch the audio or the video or even just the transcript of that guy's truly delusional press conference?
I did. All of the above.
After the quarterfinal.
Yes.
I was actually just laying in bed scrolling TikTok, waiting to fall asleep, and it appeared on my screen, the actual video of this question. Mm-hmm. And as I watched him answer this question, I got chills because it was so gross.
Yeah, so not in a good way.
No. I don't know who asked the question. We didn't hear the audio of that part. I actually had to go look at ASAP Sports to find the transcript to actually see what the actual question was. What's changed about controlling your temper since the last time you broke a racket, and has that made you a better player, or does it have any relevance at all? He answers, a few things. One is about taking responsibility of who you are as a person. Well, that is number one.
Okay.
It's like, oh my God, it's that thing that Republicans do where they take your words as a leftist or a socialist or whatever and flip it for their own ends. That's what this felt like. Do you know what I mean?
I'm with you. I'm following you. I don't get it yet, but you'll lead me there.
Throughout this whole years-long domestic abuse saga, that's one of the things that people have been looking for from him, to take some responsibility. I know he's saying that he is, but for something, he's playing in our faces.
Well, he said he didn't do it, so...
Right, but he's co-opting the language.
Yes.
In my opinion.
Okay.
Number one thing, I've said it before, but I'm a father now, so I want to be a good example there.
Okay.
Also, I want to be remembered for my tennis. That's not happening.
You won't be.
That's not happening. I want to be remembered for what I've achieved on the court. Doubtful. For what I've done on the tennis court. Also for the good things I do outside the tennis court as well. Because I feel like there's quite a lot of work that I do with my foundation and with my family as well, which can be beneficial and helps people around the world. So I would much rather be known and remembered for that than the outbursts that I used to have, right? Yeah, that's just something that at some point it just comes. And then here comes this crazy pivot. It came with Roger as well. Roger used to have outbursts like crazy, and then he changed. He became Roger Federer. He became this perfection that we all know him as now. But it wasn't always that case. But yeah, something in the mind clicked and decided to be different on the court.
What? Roger Federer? Now, Roger's at home saying, now why am I in it?
Right? I mean, to be clear, he's not different on court. He may just not be smashing rackets.
Right, he hasn't hit the umpire's chair in a while.
But he's taunting the crowd when he feels he's been heckled. It's not a great experience.
It's just, okay, everyone in the room, including the reporter who asked the question, knows there's this unspoken cloud hanging over this answer, right? Nobody is saying it. Nobody is allowed to say it at this point because nobody has proven these accusations in court. But you're talking about, like, I don't know about your foundation. That's great. I'm sure. Like, I'm sure you've done a lot of charitable work. That's really not my business here. Comparing yourself to Roger is weird. Saying you want to be remembered for your tennis. I understand why you would want to be remembered for your tennis. But everyone in this room knows and can't say that you will also be remembered for something horrible.
Also, the tennis you want to be remembered for is giving old maiden type shoes. They were meant to be worn by someone beautiful, and you are nothing of the sort.
In spirit, you mean? God
Correct.
forbid we be accused of body shaming, you know.
I mean, if you don't... No, I can't spell... I'm not going to spell out what that clip is. That's a reference. If you get it, you get
Right.
it at this point. Because there's a certain part of that reference that I just cannot say on air.
You could, but we won't. But
Gemma is...
This is one of the most delusional people to ever play the sport.
Truly.
And that's saying something.
Truly.
Yeah.
It's part delusion, it's part by design. This is public rehabilitation of his image that he's trying to do himself.
Yeah, you know what? I have to wonder what the motivation was behind that question, actually.
Was it a plant?
Well, I don't know who asked the question. I'm not accusing them of anything. I'm curious what they were hoping to get from asking the question.
Yeah. I mean, it just stopped me in my tracks when I saw that.
Yeah.
And now my algorithm is screwed. Because I wanted to find the video again to send it to you. And so I searched
Oh, no.
and couldn't find it.
No.
So now I'm getting stuff about that guy. It's wild. It's the wild, wild west out here for me.
If I'm being honest, if I'm on TikTok and I keep seeing tennis stuff, this is not tennis time. TikTok is my time. I need tennis to be away from my TikTok.
Did you all, the listeners, see Mariah's press blitz in London this past week?
And Brighton.
Yeah, because she played Brighton Pride. She gave us one of her all-time great moments this week in press. I've watched it at least 20 times so far.
Just banger after banger. She was asked if she had heard about Katy Perry's journey to space.
Mind you, the context here for those who don't know, Katy Perry was asked about Mariah in one of those talk shows years back. Mm-hmm. And she said something to the effect of, I guess she's good for a throwback. And what has happened to her career since? There isn't rope long enough to fetch her from the depths of hell that her career has sunken
Or
to.
from orbit, you know?
She's tried both.
The space station
Extremes.
it expelled her. She's just up there like Sandra Bullock.
She tried to be funny in that moment, and it was dark-sided. And I
wasn't
guarantee you Mariah knows. So I know
indeed.
Mariah she's proceeding with caution here in this interview.
Mariah, the Aries,
She was like, where is this going exactly? That's the tenor of her approach to this whole thing. And then presumably it just got weirder and weirder for her. It's like, really? She did that?
She went to space?
Where? Where did she
Where'd
go?
she go?
Where did she go?
Like, what was she expecting to hear?
Jupiter?
She went to another galaxy.
Jupiter.
Like, she's actually still...
She went to Saturn.
She's still up there.
And then, so the interviewer says, is that something you would want to do? And without skipping a beat, she says, I think I've done enough.
19 number ones. Not everyone has that. Thank you.
They're difficult to get. Still number one, darling. 19 years later and still number one.
But Katy Perry went to the very border of space for several minutes with Gayle King. But she's got that.
And found the
Forever,
time to
you know?
sing to them.
If
Or whatever.
this made
Sing, rap, or
this
whatever.
made me so mad. Because if Lauren Sanchez spent all her billions, like the money that she wasn't using on weird cosmetic surgeries, to take me to space, and this is my only chance in my whole life to be an astronaut, and I gotta listen to Katy Perry sing while we're up there? Are you insane?
Baby, you're a firework.
Exactly. I would have been heated.
Well, If you haven't watched that clip, go watch it because it will entertain you. I want to end with one question. We had some mailbag questions that we were going to get to.
But we talked too much.
I meant to answer this one on the previous episodes. I'm going to do it now. Shola asked one trollish question, his words, not ours. James, will you ever pick ADF as your breakout player ever again? And then one real question. Coming off the wonderful conversation with Courtney, which guests are next on the wish list? Take it away with the first one.
The context is I pick ADF pretty much every year for my breakout player for like the top 50 category. This year I did not, and he's had his best year. I mean, the past few weeks haven't been great, unfortunately, but no, I will not be picking him again because I was clearly the jinx.
Which guests are next on the wish list? There are no guests on this wish list. We don't do that kind of stuff. We've decided that this isn't an interview type of show, and we made an exception because it was something we wanted to do. We felt that it was timely. We felt that people wanted to hear from Courtney. We wanted to talk to her.
And she's somebody we were already very comfortable with, so we didn't have to sort of invent the rapport, right? The pressure seemed lower because we knew it would feel more natural than with someone we didn't know. But we've accepted that this just isn't an interview show, and that's not us at our best. Even though I think we could do it.
Yeah.
Right? Like I'm really pleased with some of the interviews we've done in the past, but it's just not what we want to do.
I think that's more it. We don't want to do it. I don't know what else to say. And part of that is our comfortability in doing it.
Comfortability? Is that a word now?
I don't... Do the people understand what I'm saying? It has to do with our comfort level. How about that? Also, everybody else is doing interviews. Let them do it.
Yeah.
We do something different.
And every time it's been like, oh, I really think we could get this person. Somebody else's, 3 other podcasts have already had them. I don't think in tennis it's really hard to get big guests.
Are you being shady?
No, I'm not. It's just tennis is a small world, and
yeah, I think,
if you want to hear from Iga Swiatek, she's going to go on served. She's not going to go on the body serve. And a number of huge legends of tennis have already done the rounds, right? Like, we wouldn't be anything new.
Right. We've also learned that you never know what you will get by simply asking. Oftentimes it might be a no, but quite a few times it's a yes.
Right.
And it seems that so many people in tennis are really eager to talk. The whole premise of a show like Fantastic Tennis Pod with John Garica, I think his name is talking to current and former WTA players and pairing them up with a fan or whatever. And it's, how does somebody get that many WTA players to talk? Because they want to talk. They want to talk. Right. And he's tapped into that format. I don't really want to talk to somebody who's made the rounds. That was part of why we did the Courtney thing. This was her first time speaking since the WTA let her go.
Right.
We've toyed with the idea of doing a TBS NCR joint thing at some point, in that both sides have been wanting to do it. It just never worked out timing-wise for various reasons. I mean, I don't know if that will ever happen at this point, but that would be a new thing that we'd have created or been a part of. Do you know what I mean? Like, that hadn't been done before.
Right.
Rather than getting somebody to come on the show and ask them questions that they've been asked before, and I didn't really do my research enough to know that they've been asked. It's not. That's not my bag.
And also, I don't really want to do an interview where there are things I can't ask.
Yeah.
And it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
If it's just us and the other person, and now you've pissed them off, right?
I mean,
but I don't want to do a softball. That's not interesting to me.
Nor do I want to do a hardball.
Sure. But
who's got time for that? I just want to get through my work week. I may have come across as having a lot of energy on this show, but I was exhausted.
But it's all an act, people.
I was exhausted. This was my final day. I work, Tuesday to Saturday. I came home, almost fell asleep.
Yeah.
And had to kind of like zhuzh myself up to get this thing going. I don't have the energy. I don't have the bandwidth to be planning content outside of what's comfortable for us to do with our own schedules, let alone fitting somebody else into it. That's another part of it too.
That being said, Bjorn Borg has just, he will be releasing a memoir, so he will be appearing on his book tour on the Body Serve in a few weeks.
He can't send you underwear as payment. I don't think he owns that company anymore.
No, we're not having Bjorn on the show.
That brings us to the end of episode 391. We are smack dab in the beginning stages of the Western and Southern Open, Cincinnati, Mason, Ohio. I'm looking forward to hearing and seeing the improvements. We know a few people on the ground. I want to hear what the new stuff is, because the early report said that it's stunning, that it's giving.
Riley Obelka says it's on par with Wimbledon, basically.
Oh wow, that's an opinion
from the player experience.
Oh, okay. We'll also be at the U.S. Open in a couple weeks. In exactly 2 weeks, we'll be touching down in New York. That feels like a very short time.
Yeah, summers here are very short.
My name is Jonathan. You can find me on Blue Sky at Tennis John.
I'm James at ElliotJMR.
2 L's, 2 T's. Everything Body Serve related can be found at linktree.com/thebodyserve. Thanks for listening.
Till next time.
Thank you very much.